everybody, it's Amber and welcome back to my channel. I finally have another craft fair video for you. I've got several more planned and we're getting filmed this weekend. So this one is probably one that I'm most excited about, and it's my micro traveler's notebooks. So before we get into all the details and the tutorial, I want to say thank you so much for all your incredible support and sweet comments and everything on my last video with my mom. She was so excited about it and has been getting lots of applique orders through her Etsy shop, which was so unexpected. So thank you all so much for that. We both really appreciate it. So let's go ahead and get started and get into this fourth craft fair series project. Okay, so as I mentioned, these are my micro traveler's notebooks. Now these are such a huge popular thing right now on YouTube and the paper crafting industry are traveler's notebooks, and there's all different sizes. So I wanted to create some micro ones, and actually you're going to see some more versions of these later on in the craft fair series, but these are the ones that I made. Now these measure 4 by 5. And the inserts that you can use for these are the mini composition notebooks. So really, if you think about this, it's a really inexpensive project to make. It just kind of has several, I guess, steps into making and completing one full one. So I want to give a shout out to who I am very inspired by to make these, and that's Bona. And she is over at Live Love Scrap here on YouTube. I'm going to link her channel below. She is such the mastermind behind these laminated traveler's notebooks, and she's got so many tutorials over there, and she's amazing. So she is my inspiration and really who I learned how to create these from. And there's a lot of other really talented people on YouTube that have such incredible versions of these. So I went ahead and wanted to make the micro style. So here I'm showing you the cute little journal card that I have clipped to the front. Well, actually, it's like underneath the little elastic band. On the inside, I went ahead and put one of those clear Target pockets, and it fits perfectly on the inside cover, and I just put 2 journaling cards inside. And for the inserts, I used 3 composition notebooks, and they're the little mini ones. My husband just walked in. Sorry if you hear noise. 3 little mini composition notebooks, and they're all lined, and I've covered them with the beautiful design paper, and I'm going to show you the scrapbook paper that I used. I used 3 different collections. So anyways, each of these inserts have 80 lined sheets, and then this middle one I created like a cute little mini scrapbook with a folder on either side. So I'll show you what I did for that. This one, and I filled it with just pages of craft paper. So if somebody wants to, use it for memory keeping, this would be perfect. So that's going to be the 3rd insert. And what I did is I just kind of covered these with some of the scrapbook paper, and it's got a folder. So there's the cute little other side of the folder. And then the last insert, of course, is another another miniature composition notebook. You can get 3 packs from Walmart, which is where I got them. They're 88 cents, and I'm going to show them to you in a minute. And you can also get them at Dollar Tree, but I use these ones from Walmart. So let me show you kind of how these come in and out. It's really easy. There's 4 bands, and you can just remove these. Super easy. Do your journaling, work on them, make a little art journal, notate things, and then all you do is do that. And then you can just slip it back in. So you can change these out all the time and just keep reusing the beautiful laminated cover. So that's kind of what I've made. I've made, I think 14 of these, and we're going to make one together on camera. And I'll have 15 micro traveler's notebooks. So I'm going to take you through all the ones that I made quickly, so that way we can go ahead and get started on this fun tutorial. Okay, so I'm going to show you the paper collections that I used, and I'm going to link all of these below. So the first one I used was the On Trend 2 by My Mind's Eye, and I absolutely used like almost every single scrap of that. And I used the Boho Vibes from Hobby Lobby and the Just Be You by Echo Park. So the Just Be You and the On Trend kind of go together. In my opinion, they're very similar. And then of course, the Boho Vibes is just beautiful. So the Just Be You and the On Trend 2 I'm going to link below in my Amazon store. So if you want to go through my storefront to purchase those, that would be awesome. Also found the Boho Vibes in the Hobby Lobby online store, so I linked that below as well. So I'm going to go over all the sizes of paper and quantities that you need. So to make one micro traveler's notebook, you're going to need a piece of double-sided cardstock or single-sided that you backed up on each other. So I'm working with double-sided, so you just need one piece of 8 by 5. Then you're going to need for the folder a piece of double-sided cardstock that measures 6.5 by 6. And you're going to need 6 pieces and these do not have to be double-sided, but it doesn't matter if they are. So you're going to need 6 pieces that measure 5 3/4 by 4.5. And these are to cover your miniature composition notebooks. You're also going to need, along with the scrapbook paper, you're going to need 4 pieces of craft paper, just craft cardstock, that measure 6 1/4 by 4.5. And these are for your little scrapbook insert that gets stapled into your cute little folder. So here are the other supplies that I used. I used these composition notebooks, and I love these because they're sewn in. You make sure you get the composition notebooks that are sewn, not glued, because they'll lay better in your traveler's notebook. These have 80 line pages, and those were 88 cents from Walmart for a pack of 3. Then I used this elastic that I got from Amazon. I'm going to link it below for you. And I used these thermal laminating pouches by Scotch. And here's a tip for you. Be sure to use the regular ones that I'm showing you here. Don't use the extra thick ones because your pages will come apart. The laminate will separate from the paper when you go to fold it and score it. So just make sure you use the normal thermal laminating pouches. And then I'm going to use those Target clear pockets that I got from the dollar spot. If you can't find those, I'm going to go ahead and link some similar ones below that you can get from Amazon. Next, we're going to go over the tools that I used. So just don't be intimidated by all these tools. A lot of them you probably already have, and you can substitute a lot of them also with something you do have. So you're going to need a scoreboard. You're going to need some wet adhesive, scissors, a bone folder, a stapler, some adhesive. I use my ATG gun. You're going to need some kind of hole punch. And so I have both of these crocodiles. If you don't have that big one, then you can use like a needle, and I'll show you where. You're going to need your paper trimmer and some kind of corner rounder. And then of course you're also going to need a ruler. Thing you're obviously going to need is a laminator. I got this one. It won't pull all the way on the screen because it's plugged in, but it's the Scotch laminator, and it's only $20, like around $20, $23. So I'm going to link it below for you as well. Okay, so now we're ready to start the tutorial. Let's go ahead and get started. For some reason, this part got cut out of my filming. I don't know how, but anyways, I'm going to explain to you how you're going to score these pieces. So this piece is the 8 by 5 cover piece, and you are going to go ahead and score this at 4 in the middle, and then 1/2 inch on each side. So it's going to be scored at 3.5, 4, and 4.5. The other paper that's going to get some scoring is the folder. This measures 6.5 by 6. So in your scoreboard, you're going to put it in on the 6.5 inch side. You're going to score it down the middle at 3 1/4. Then you're going to turn it a quarter turn so it's on the 6 inch side, and you're going to score that at 4.5 inches. The first thing you're going to do is open one of your laminating pouches and go ahead and stick your cover piece in, and that's the piece that measures 8 by 5. So stick it in as far as it possibly will go, because 2 of these will fit in here. But since we're just making one here for the tutorial, I don't want to waste the rest of this laminating part, so I'm going to go ahead and stick some die cuts in there. Okay, so I just thought since I had all that laminate left, I would go ahead and stick these die cuts in there. So now all I got to do is I'm going to stick this into my laminator. It's right next to me, but I'm going to do it off camera since the cord won't reach any further. So I'll be right back right after I laminate this. Okay, so I went ahead and laminated it, and I went ahead and sent it through twice to make sure it's nice and sealed. And the next thing we're going to do is just cut around this. Be sure that you don't cut where the seal is, because then it obviously will open up. So I'm going to tell you right now, this is like my least favorite part of the entire tutorial, is to cut this even. It's probably because I can't see and I'm trying to work usually at nighttime, so I can't see, but it's daytime right now, so I can actually see pretty well, and I actually did a pretty good job cutting this straight. So like I said, just make sure you don't cut the seal part, because then it will separate the laminate and it'll open up and you'll have to do it all over. So this was pretty easy actually this time, and we're going to go ahead and just, cut all the edges off, and then we're going to round our corners. Okay, so as soon as you have that all trimmed up, go ahead and get your chomper, your corner chomper. I'm using the We Are Memory Keepers one, and I'm going to link it below in my shop as well, my Amazon storefront. And I use the 1/4 inch side. The 1/4 inch side for this project is like your best friend, because we're going to be using this 1/4 inch side a lot. So just chop that off. If it gets, to where it doesn't all the way come off with the corner chomper, it marks where it should be cut, so you can just take some scissors and trim. Now you're going to need your scoreboard, and you're not going to measure anything. You're just going to simply find a groove to line up with your already made score marks in your paper, and you're just going to kind of re-score that area just so it goes through the laminate as well. So take your scoring tool, just kind of find a groove on your scoreboard, and just re-score those 3 lines that you already scored on your cover page. So now you're going to take your laminated cover and just kind of work it really gently on the fold lines and crease it down with your bone folder to make the, folding on the score lines to go ahead and make the construction of your cover. You're going to end up with 3 score lines right there down the middle. So 1, 2, 3, and this is going to be the guide on where we're going to punch our holes so we can put in our elastic. Okay, so you're going to use the 1/8 inch side of your crocodile, or use a 1/8 inch, hole puncher, and you're going to poke a hole about 1/8 of an inch up from the paper, right on that right-handed score line. You're going to actually do this on all the score lines. I don't measure, so I just go ahead and eyeball it, but after I'm done, I'll show you where all the holes are, and they're never like completely perfectly even, but it's okay, it always works out. So there's where my score lines are, and those are where I made my holes. Okay, so now let's go ahead and do the same thing on the other side. I'm about 1/8 of an inch, above that bottom line of the paper, poking my hole with the 1/8 inch side of the crocodile, and there we go. So it's not perfectly straight ever. I don't like to measure, so that's just how it looks, and it's going to work perfectly. So there in the center score line, in the middle, we need to poke another hole. So what you can do is you can take a needle, shove it through there. If you don't have that big crocodile that reaches all the way, just take a needle and kind of do that. I was doing that forever until I finally went ahead and ordered one of these. So they're kind of nice because you can actually, there's like a measuring device, like kind of ruler thing on the bottom, so you can make sure you're doing it completely centered. So I'm not going to do a tutorial on this big bite thing, but just basically put a hole in the middle. And again, I don't measure, but there's already like a little ruler down there, so I went ahead and measured. So I just poke a hole right there in the center, and that's all the holes that you're going to need. And now you're ready to put in your elastic. So this is my favorite elastic to use. It's the 1.8 millimeter size, and I got it off of Amazon. I'll go ahead and link it below as well. So I just go ahead, and my measurement that I've been using is 24 inches. So what I do is I just take it and wrap it around the ruler. So 12 and 12. And then I snip it off. And that seems to be a little bit more than I actually need, which is great because then I have room to um, kind of wiggle it around a little bit, make it looser or tighter wherever I need it. So this is the best way that I can tell you how to do this. It's so easy. I probably am not the best explainer, but I'm going to bring in this pink mat since we're working with like a teal colored paper and it's like a teal colored background there. I figured the pink mat would be better. So let me zoom you in and I'm going to show you how to sew this. It's super easy. You do not need a needle. You just need your elastic and your cover. So first thing you're going to do is you're going to come from the back side on the right hand hole and come up through the inside. So you're going to be leaving a tail, okay? And make sure that tail goes a little bit past that center hole. So pretty much make sure it's a little longer than half of your traveler's notebook cover. And I'm going to show you here what I'm talking about. Okay, so there you go. So just make sure that that little tail stays that size as you sew the rest of this. So after you stick it through that first hole, you're going to take the long end that you just stuck through there and go through the top right hole and through, so there through that top right hole and then back up through the middle hole. So as you're doing this, make sure you pull it tight. So there we go, back up through the middle hole. Make sure you don't pull it too tight though, because you want your inserts to have room to grow and be decorated and things like that. So make sure that you don't pull it too tight. So now you're going to go back down on the other side through that middle hole out the back. And so there you go. And that creates that little middle elastic now. And then you're going to bring it right back up through the left hole. So then just follow that. And of course, you know what you're going to do next. Go all the way up to the top, through that left hole on the top, out the back. And now you're left with 2 tails. So what you're going to do with each of these, you're going to go through the back. And when I say the back, I mean like the front part of the cover. So you're going to take it back through the middle hole. So it's kind of a little more tough because there's already a piece of elastic through that middle hole, but you can do it. So then there you have this little piece here, and then you're going to do the same thing on this side. You're going to put this up through that middle hole to bring it, you know, along with the other elastic that's in there. And then you're going to be left with these 2 pieces, and you're going to tie them in a knot, and that's going to create your 4th elastic. And I like to go ahead and do a double knot just because I don't ever want it to come apart. So then once you're done with your double knot, just go ahead and take your scissors and snip away the excess. So this is how much excess elastic we have using like the 24-inch method. So there you go. There's your 4 different elastics for your 4 inserts. So the next thing we have to do is go ahead and make our closure elastic, which is what that middle hole is for. So for this, I go ahead and use my little mat here, and I cut this at 10 inches. And you're not going to need the whole 10 inches, but I like I said, room to work with it. So then you're going to fold that elastic in half, and with the side that folds together, you're going to stick that part through the middle hole. Make sure you go in between the 2 elastics in the middle and just kind of pull it out and play around with it. See where you want to tie your knot. Kind of measure it because this wraps around like this, and that's what holds your T-end together. So once you kind of figure out how loose or tight you want it, keep your finger on the place where you want to tie the knot and go ahead and tie it into a loose knot and test it out. So I tied it into a pretty loose knot just in case I have to take it out. And then I want to test it out, see if that'll work. And perfect. It's going to be just loose, just tight enough. And now I'll go ahead and take this out and make the knot super tight, and I'll even tie a double knot because you know me, I don't want it to come apart. Okay, and then just like the other one, snip away the excess elastic, and you're not wasting much. So there we are. Now our little T-end cover is ready, and all we have to do is create our inserts. Like I mentioned before, this is the 3-pack of composition mini notebooks that I got from Walmart, and this thing was 88 cents. So if you think about it, this project is pretty cheap to make because I'm sure you all have scraps of paper that you can use, and you can even get the 3-pack of these at the Dollar Tree, but I like these better because they have 80 sheets and they're cheaper. So these work perfectly. And you guys, I am so excited. Well, first of all, let me show you. This is stitched, and here is how you know it's stitched, because it's stitched through the middle and it's not glued. So I am so excited because I think I've figured out a foolproof way to cover these things. I have been covering composition notebooks for years, and I have been struggling for years. I have figured out a way, and somebody else probably figured this out before me, but I figured out a way to cover these with no fuss, and it works so great. So this is how I do it. You take your 2 sheets, and it's going to be one for each side, of 5 3/4 by 4 1/2. So the 4 1/2 obviously is up and down, and you're going to take your composition notebook and you're going to cover it with adhesive. So I'm using my ATG gun. Make sure you get all the way to the edge with your adhesive. So do all 4 of the all 3 of the edges, because you're not gonna put glue on that black spine part. That's gonna stay as is. It looks pretty good. So you're just gonna put glue on all of these edges, and I'm having a little struggle here with my ATG gun, as you can see. But go ahead and cover that first, that front page with a bunch of adhesive, and then you're gonna take your 5 3/4 by 4 1/2 piece of cardstock, and you're going to go ahead and cover this. Just make sure you line it up perfectly at the edge of that black spine piece, and with the top and bottom, make sure it's even, and then go ahead and seal it down. So crease it and burnish it really good with your bone folder to make sure none of those edges come up. And I'm serious, you guys, this is like the most exciting thing to me, that I am discovering how to cover these things really easily. It also gives it like a cleaner finish. So the next thing you're going to do is just go ahead and flip it over, and this is where the back side of your paper is. I just like to crease it a little to get it started, and you're going to actually fold this over to the inside cover, just like that. So look how clean and simple this is. So what you're going to do is just add adhesive now to that flap, and you're going to go ahead and seal it down and cover your inside cover. So make sure you get all of the edges so nothing comes up. Cover it pretty generously with ATG or whatever your adhesive of choice is. Get all the edges, and this is so awesome that I'm now covering my notebooks like this. It's just, I wish I would have discovered it earlier, but so now it's like a really clean finish. Even on that fold, it's just so much cleaner and nicer and looks just more finished. And it's really easy to mass produce and do these really fast. So then there you are. And the last thing you're going to do, look how clean that looks. Isn't that so pretty? It's all covered. So the last thing you're going to do is take your 1/4 inch side of your corner rounder, chomper, and just punch those 2 corners. And it could not be more perfect. Look at that finish. Isn't that so pretty? So I just like slammed so many of these out so fast because it is so simple. So I'm going to go ahead and do the other side now the same way. Just cover this with your paper. Make sure you have it oriented right. So there you go. And I'm going to go ahead and finish these off. I'm going to go ahead and cover this one, and then the other 2 I'm going to cover off camera. Okay, so there's our 3 covered mini composition notebooks, all beautiful, all covered and finished. I think they look so adorable. So now the last thing we need to work on is our little folder insert. So we're going to take the piece that measures 6 1/2 by 6, and we're going to go ahead and crease it on the score lines. So there we creased it at 3 1/4, and then we're going to crease this at the 4 1/2. So this creates a little folder. So go ahead and undo that bottom score, fold it in half again to where the flap is on the left side, the opening. Take your scissors and from that 4.5-inch score line, cut off just a little triangle at the fold. So it's just this little triangle right here, and what that does is gives you a little gap between your two little pockets. So now all you're going to do is just use some wet adhesive, very little, and just glue your little pockets closed. This is so simple. I think I've done kind of some similar things like this on my channel. Same little procedure that I used in my other pockets I've done before. And same way, you just gotta get the glue a little bit tacky so it doesn't seep out, and it dries really fast. So this is the perfect glue. It's the Art Glitter Glue. I'm gonna go ahead and link it below as well. It's really great glue. So while we're waiting, I think I'm gonna go ahead and round the corners on my 1/4 inch side again of the chomper. And I think that glue is ready to be sealed. So just go ahead and seal those little edges, and it makes your cute little folder cover for your middle insert. So I just think this is a cute idea. Some people put just the folder in by itself, but I had thought of the idea to put pages inside and staple them in. So that's what I went ahead and did. And the idea for this is kind of so they can have memory keeping as well as journaling. So this is kind of like the memory keeping insert. They can glue pictures or stubs or whatever memorabilia they want to keep. So we're going to bring in our pieces of craft cardstock that measure 6 1/4 by 4.5, and I'm going to round all the corners. So now I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and fold each one of these in half. And so they're going to actually end up measuring 3 1/8 by 4.5. Okay, so I'm sorry again, but I guess on these longer tutorials, I just think the camera's rolling and it's not. Anyways, I already stapled the craft pages in here, but I'm going to show you how I did it. Up and down, it's the same length, but there's about a 1/16 or 1/8 of an inch on each side. So you just line that up in there, stack them inside each other, and take your staple and do it right there on the outside of the cover. So do a staple there, and then again, do a staple there. So I've done tutorials in the past on this technique, so that's all you do, and then you come up with your cute little scrapbook insert with pockets. I think it's so cute, and I like the idea to have craft paper. You can use any color. You don't have to use craft. I think you can use any solid cardstock, or you can even use, I did it on a couple, use scrapbook paper. I just didn't have enough scrapbook paper to do every page. So there's your cute little pocket page insert. Okay, so now the fun part, we get to put this thing together. So the first thing I'm going to do is adhere my little Target clear pocket, and as I mentioned, these are from the Target Dollar Spot. I was able and lucky enough to pick up several packages. If you can't find these at your Target, I'm going to link some similar pockets below that you can get on Amazon. So I'm going to actually just link my storefront so you can go and look at all the supplies and everything, and I'll link some of these similar pockets below. So you're just going to meet the edge of that middle score line with these. Don't go over it, otherwise this won't fold. And just stick your pocket down. It's very sticky. It sticks great to the laminate. And it just makes a really cute clear pocket, so you can put in like journaling cards or whatever you want, and then whoever purchases this can put in memorabilia or whatever they want. So I just chose 2 journaling cards, and I just put 2 in each of these traveler's notebooks, and so that way they can see that it's a pocket. And now let's go ahead and put in our inserts. I am so excited that this is coming together. And so here we go. Let's go ahead and put the first one in. What you want to do is you want to find the center, which is where those stitches are, and just stick them in one by one in the order that you want. So I like to put in 2 notebooks first, and then I put in my cute little folder insert. So that's going to be on the 3rd elastic, and it's right here. I think it's so cute. I'm so excited about that one. And then my last little notebook. Seriously, is this not the cutest thing you've ever seen? And look how cheap it was to make this. Like, most of us, if we're already paper crafters, we've got scraps of paper the sizes we need. The only thing you might have to go out and buy is like some elastic, and if you don't have a laminator. So the laminating sheets I'm going to link below, the laminator, the elastic, everything. And I like to put a cute little card here, and I got that idea from Sabrina Ann. She is incredible. Her channel is so amazing. She makes the best traveler's notebooks. So I'm going to link that her channel below too. But let's do a little flip through of our cute, adorable. How many more adjectives can I find for this? Seriously, it's so, so precious. So let's go ahead and flip through it. I like the mini size, don't you? And there's our little middle insert and another notepad. And these are so chubby. They feel good in the hands. And I can't wait to sell these at my craft fair. So when it comes to pricing on these, this is going to be one of my more expensive items that I've probably ever had at my craft fair. I'm going to go ahead and price these things at $12 each. And I know that seems high for my type of craft fair, my type of items that I normally make. But these are kind of a labor of love. As you can tell already, there's several steps. They're very inexpensive to make because I mostly had all the materials already. But the time it took me to make these is kind of worth, marking the price up just a little bit. People sell these in their Etsy store for like $30. So I think $12 is pretty fair. I kept them pretty simple and plain with room to grow. So here they are. I'm so excited about these. I'm going to be making some different versions, bigger ones and stuff. So stay tuned. Some more simple projects are coming up next. And as I mentioned throughout the video, I just went ahead and made an Amazon storefront with all my favorite tools, supplies, and every video I use, I'm going to link everything possible that I can find online down in the description. I'm just going to leave a link to my Amazon store for most of the stuff, and if it's not on Amazon, I'm going to link the specific link. So check the description below for all the stuff that I used today, and I just want to thank you so much for your support and so much for watching this video. I cannot tell you how excited I am about these traveler's notebooks. I really hope that you enjoyed this video and tutorial. If you did, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. And if you don't want to miss another video, there's a little bell that you can click down there to get notifications. I also love if you'd follow me on Instagram, where I show sneak peeks of my upcoming videos and projects. And I do stories over there, so I would love if you would be one of my followers on Instagram. I'll leave my handle here across the screen. I hope you all have a wonderful crafty weekend, and I will see you in my next craft fair video. Bye!